Welcome to the Wrong to Strong podcast. Today we have a special guest, someone that did
Yeah.
time, someone that got out, and someone that's rebuilding his life. Uh, Bobby,
What's up? Yeah.
why don't you introduce yourself?
What's up? My name is Bobby. I served 13 years in the Department of Corrections out here in Phoenix, Arizona. I suffered from addiction for 15 years. I've been home just over a year and a half with about 20 something days left on parole. Just out here grinding. JC, I just want to say thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure, man. It's another door open from God, right? And I'm very thankful. To have this moment and have this time to be able to share my story with you.
Oh man, I believe that God puts certain things in motion. Sometimes people in our lives, sometimes He removes them, sometimes He places them in our life for a reason. And for some reason, when I got that text, not the text, when I saw your message on Facebook, um, it brought me back to my time where I took my DUI device off, where I remember all the years that I drove without a license and everything, and I was like, man, that's a huge accomplishment. To people like us, it might not seem as big because it's one of the little pieces of the puzzle.
Right.
Everything else is way bigger than that.
Yeah.
But people don't realize how important a license is to have when someone gets out of prison.
Man, I relate to that a lot. I didn't have a license for 13 years. I came out of prison, dedicated my time to a program. I came out of that program and it was like throwing darts at a dartboard, right? I didn't even know what I was doing. I heard about the AZ MVD Now website, figured it out, and I got the list of things I needed to do to get that revocation and figure out my fines, get my license back. And man, it happened faster than anything. So that was a year ago. So this past Tuesday, with no violations, nothing, straight to the core. Like I paid it off by myself, got that thing removed, and now I'm pushed to go.
People don't realize how powerful that moment is. I remember when I removed mine, and I had already gotten used to it because I had mine on for 2 years. For 2 years, blowing into that thing, I got used to it. Driving, every 5 minutes you got to blow into it, and it was funny because I would be at red lights and I would be embarrassed because like it would start beeping. I would be like, great, and I would bring it up, and finally it got to a point where I didn't care what people really thought. I just knew that I needed to stay sober, and I'm not a nice person when I drink.
Right.
So like, I enjoyed taking it off, but at the same time, I enjoyed having it on. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, you know what? Like that's key because the thing is for me, I think it created a sense of accountability, right? It helped me along the way with the foundation that I'm building and the structure that I have in my life today. So like I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a little bit of like that self-consciousness coming into play, thinking about getting it out and then be like, oh, okay, it's gone now. Maybe this, and this. But being able to be mentally strong now and be like, no, that's not what it is, and continue to realize that even though it's not there, it's always going to be there because of the things I've been through in my life. So I get you, being embarrassed of the lights and stuff. I mean, you could sit, pretend it's a phone or something if somebody's watching, but having to take that moment to blow into it's really a blessing in my eyes because it's another chance and another opportunity to move forward.
Yeah. Um, I wanted to ask you something that I didn't experience until I started doing time here in Arizona, and it's called page. I think it's page 1 or page 2.
Page 2.
Okay, page 2.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that until I started doing time here in Arizona, and it was funny because the way I found out about it was that I was doing time at the Douglas yard. Some of the homies were getting ready to go home, and they started page 2 in them. And I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, they're going back to court. Man, for the next 3 weeks, I only had 3 weeks to the door.
Yeah.
For the next 3 weeks, I was so stressed out. I was so walking on eggshells. I never heard of such a thing. Can you kind of give us like clear that up? Like what is that? What is page 2?
Right. So I first experienced page 2 when I caught my first charges in 2010. Me and my co-defendant we got into some trouble, and we're going through the Matrix when they still had the Matrix on Fourth Avenue. Ain't wasn't that that's a journey in itself, but that's a whole nother story. But we're in the Matrix, man, and we're stuck together. Like, it's my buddy, half breed. Shout out, he gets out soon. Hopefully he's doing good. You know, it's been a while. Um,
Well, let's give him a shout out.
you know, crazy story. His real name is my middle names. So James Lewis, he's I think he got like 18 years in the feds. I haven't talked to him in a long time. Probably gonna try to reach out, but I want to shout him out. Hopefully he's doing good. Send blessing and prayers his way. But that's when I first learned about page two, man. On that charge, it was labeled a home invasion at first, but it shifted into a F6 theft because I don't have no criminal background in my juvenile life, right? I was introduced to opiates at a younger age. But anyways, we're going through the matrix, and I'm sitting there, and they keep coming to the door calling him. Can we get Lewis? Dot dot dot. Boom, he leaves, comes back, and this happened like 6 times. I'm like, dude, what's going on? He goes, page two, page two. I'm like, what? He goes, so he gave me the story of, like, after we did what we did, we're at his apartment. We got pulled out with the assault rifles, all that, dogs walking down the stairs backwards, but his apartment was just full of stuff because we had a hustle of, doing the wrong thing. Um, so page two, I found out and I learned about you're going in on a charge, right? You're facing one charge, and when you're facing that charge and you're going through, something could pop up from your past.
Mm.
So the state of Arizona, or the justice system out here, labels it a page two. So they bring more charges on you. For instance, like, my last time down, I got grand jury indicted, and I had to go back and finish that up. So it's just really taking care of charges that may be lingering that you didn't have
That
no
you didn't know about, pretty much.
right.
So, but I mean, how scary is that to think that you have like some years like put away somewhere for you, like in
Man,
storage or something,
in storage, in the cloud,
in the
really.
cloud, in the iCloud. You
uh,
know what I mean?
Man, that's a feeling in itself of uncertainty, and after being on a yard for a little while, you get into your lane, you get a little bit of comfortability, and then all of a sudden, hey, roll up. You're going right back to the trenches.
I mean, I experienced that when I got transferred over from Mexico. They put me in the federal prison, La Tuna, in El Paso, Texas. And when I was released, they didn't say nothing. They handed me my check. I got my change of clothes. I was in the bullpen changing. Started to walk out. For those that follow me, you guys have heard this story before. I see two cowboys. That's the first time I ever seen Texas Rangers like in real life. They actually do wear cowboy boots and all that stuff. And they were waiting for me, and I must have been free for about 2 minutes because as soon as I got to the door, they arrested me, took me to the El Paso County Jail, and I sat there for Illinois to come and get me for the next 30 days. They didn't come and get me, but that's how it felt. Same thing when I got released here. I had a warrant out for my arrest, but that's another story. Um, I want to ask you some pretty like strong questions, and this is for all those people that follow all these prison channels and all that stuff. This is a question a lot of people ask. If you do time, do you need to be in a gang?
Man, I think um, the way that prison was structured years ago, in a sense, I think that it was an important thing, just how the segregation was and how the politics were ran and how the rules were set in place. Because I'll be blatantly honest, when I went back this last time, I signed full IHP because I was done, right? Because I seen so many things. I seen money, greed, and the economy of dope take over the mindsets of individuals that were running these
Yeah.
places and the way we were treated, right? Um, but now that I think about it and I look at how the system is today with this IHP, man, it's a youngster's world. It's turned into a youngster's world. There's no rules. It's get it how you live it.
Yep.
New gangs popping up everywhere
Yep.
with no politics in it. with no structure, with no rules. There's no leadership. There's no direction in the vision of what's being created in these new sets or these new gangs or these new groups, right? Um, Me personally, I'm an ex, right? I've stepped away. Um, I got involved this last time down for the cause of how I saw things used to be ran,
And
right?
you just for those that don't know, you sat with the whites, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I sat with the whites. Um, I did I did time at
Okay.
Maury, right? That was probably some of my darkest time. And I think that's when I really learned what politics were and what was going on and the things I seen and how it was so driven by dope.
Yep.
Man, we couldn't even sit at another race's table on the yard. But at the same time, every race is intertwining and sharing
Of
things.
course, with the drugs and all
You
that.
know what I mean? But you can't even go through the tables, but you're sharing things, you know what I mean? Stuff and things. And that's that's where the focus was. Were there people on the yard that weren't involved? Of course. There were citizens, you could say, right? They got the respect. If you're not gonna be involved, like stay out of the way and you're gonna get respected. But if you're gonna be an individual that's gonna raise your hand and be like, hey, I want this, this, and this, and you wanna go earn some tattoos or you want your name to be heard, I promise you they're gonna call on you.
Yeah. You know, the way he says that citizens doesn't mean that you're completely out, because you're not. You still have to sit with your own people. You still have to sit. If you're black, you're sitting with the blacks. If you're Mexican, you're sitting with the Mexican. There's oddballs. Yes, there's always an oddball that sits. That You got that white boy that grew up with all the Mexicans. He's more Mexican than even the Mexicans. You got those, but it's very rare because everything is very, very segregated in prison, and even more down this way because, and I say that respectfully. In Chicago, it's more about the gangs. We have black land kings, we have white land kings. It's really not about the race. It's about who you ride with in Chicago and in the feds. Segregation was really tough on me when I first got to Arizona because I wasn't used to it. And the first thing I did was go sit with the blacks because I bumped into a couple people that I knew. And the AZ guys almost had a heart attack. And, they came and spoke to me. And then they asked me who did I want to sit with, if I wanted to sit with the paisas or if I wanted to sit with them. And I said, well, isn't that the same thing? Because you're asking me to pick between my mom and my sister, pretty much. That's the only way I could look at it. And they were like, no, we're separated. And I was like, wow, we're completely separated by race and by culture. So people don't realize how important that is in prison though, to keep order. Do you mind like just giving us like an idea of just how that creates structure for everybody to stay in line in their own lane, pretty much?
Yeah, when it comes to creating that order and having that structure, what I noticed, what I'm noticing now today after like the state of Arizona, if I'm honest with what you were talking about, Chicago, it's catching up because that's how Arizona's becoming. Like gangs popping up, like so many new gangs. Like all the stuff back then is like almost obsolete today,
Yeah.
right? So with that structure that was incorporated within living in that prison lifestyle, it was like there was an age
Yeah.
to where you could get high. Um, there was a mandatory workout every day. There was a you better be at rec first thing in the morning. Shout out to the guys that showed up to my cell every morning when I didn't show up,
Yeah.
but still didn't jump. You know what I mean? Like I didn't like that. I didn't, but I was not going to rec at 6:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning in the wintertime at Maury. Like no. But anyways, like those rules, now that I think about it, and I actually incorporated in my life today, not with like getting high or anything, but the rules of making sure you had your hygiene, making sure there was fish kits, making sure there was people at rec on time. And the only reason you're at rec is because like with that citizen thing I said is even though you're a citizen, you better be at rec
Yeah.
because if something pops off, you better show up to that riot
Yep.
because if you don't, somebody's coming,
Yep.
right? So though, so in a sense, those politics, man, really in a different way showed discipline, showed the mindset of a warrior almost. But when drugs get involved and the greed and that money and that economy and then the interest in whatever that clique is, that gang that you're riding with becomes your full focus is when you're starting to see all that crumble.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to put, after doing 17 years, man, in Fed, state, Mexico, here, I set foot in over 25 prisons. One thing that I've learned, you can never put a warrior as a leader on a yard because we're going to be fighting all the time.
Right.
And if you put in drug addict as a leader, it's only a matter of time he'll dismantle everything because he'll smoke everything, even his own people. Um, and I've had the luxury of having some really good leaders that taught me how to do time, how to stay in my lane, how to, I mean, even how to make knives. Like it was a mentorship that was needed in there that I got. But I also took a lot of that stuff that I learned in there and I applied it to my life out here now. That makes me, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it makes me a beast out here because for 7 years now, everybody always asks me, "How do you get up at 2:45 in the morning every day?" Well, I tell them I got up every day in prison as soon as those doors popped. As soon as those doors popped, I had to have my boots on. I had to be ready to go. So if something was kicking off, you have to be ready to go. So I've taken a lot of that stuff from prison, that mindset, controlled movement, the loyalty, the working out, all that stuff, and I've applied it to my USP program. I've applied it to my life out here. I've applied it to everyday, like a everyday skill now. Um, what would you say have been some of the things that you learned in prison? Because I mean, let's be honest, we were both addicts. We were
Yeah.
both running the streets.
Yeah.
So we both went into prison like little animals.
Right.
I always tell people prison saved me and taught me a lot of things, even how to
Right.
make my bed,
Yeah.
hygiene. So, like, what would you say is some of the things that you learned in prison that make you a monster out here, a badass?
Man. Man, yeah, going to prison like an animal. I was 160 pounds when I went back the last time. You know what I mean? Um, but being in prison, like I took this last time in when I'm finishing up on my stuff right now. But this last time in, I took a different look at the system. Instead of being a youngster and like I don't care when the yard closes. I don't care what you're saying, this and that. Like I think I took when the yard closed at 8:30, right? That's the biggest thing for me. Like now I see myself out here. I go to work, come home.
Mm-hmm.
The world closes at 8:30 in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Um, making my bed, my apartment is spotless because it's the structure of keeping good hygiene, whether it's on person or living space. Cleaning out that cell once a week, like every Sunday, the whole cell, property boxes tore down, cleaned out, uh, flushed out the cell for roaches, right? Because they come. I don't care how clean your cell is, they're coming, they're there. So, and the biggest thing that I reflect on daily is patience. I learned patience. I've sat in so many rooms that only had a window this big for hours and hours waiting for somebody else to come get me to tell me what to do. So I think I learned I take that with humbleness because I learned a lot of patience. And I think we were talking about this earlier about slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
It really helped me slow down to trust the process in life so that I can get where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could talk to your younger self before prison, what would you say to yourself?
I should have listened to my grandma a lot more. That hit home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's peeling those layers that make us cry, that make us think, that make us wonder. Peeling those layers back is part of our healing. It's part of this journey, man. Um, Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Take a deep breath, bro. Questions that spark up emotion like that. It's when you hit that little niche. Boom.
Yeah, yeah,
That scar that you thought was already gone. You know how you scratch those little scars off of you?
yeah.
You think they're gone, but it's still there. But it's there for a reason, brother. That means that is she
Mm,
still around?
nah,
No.
my gra
So
sorry.
so what a similar thing happened to
Mm,
me where I was very close with my grandfather. He was like the only man in my life that I trusted, only man that I loved. He passed away while I was inside. No one told me. No one said a word because they knew how much that would affect me. So when I got out of prison, I came home looking for him. Like, where's grandpa? Where's grandpa? They were like, we have some bad news to tell you. And I just lost it because I was so mad that my sisters, my mom, everybody held it from me. But they did it for a reason. Because if I would have got that news inside, I would have probably done something. You know, someone else would have got the rage. And I feel you, brother. Honestly, I feel that that's why we connected. We have a lot of the same pains. I mean, we've been talking and getting to know each other. And I just met him not too long
eh,
ago. It's been crazy. I you've been on my thoughts a lot lately, and I have to believe that it's because it's for a reason.
yeah, I relate a lot with that loss. It's a big month right now, right? Uh, January, I think 2nd, my little cousin passed, to suicide while I was in. Uh, and then this month, uh, February 20th, I can't tell you exactly how many years ago, but it's over 10. My grandmother passed. And 3 years ago, on the 28th of this month, my mom passed. That was like my biggest downfall is loss.
Mm-hmm.
That's my trigger.
Yeah.
That was the number one. Right back. Let's get it. Like, let's go
Yeah.
wherever.
Yeah.
You
Nothing
know
to
what I mean?
lose. All in.
All in. But I've been able to like hone in on that and understand it more for taking the time to uh to fix that part of me, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like I don't even know how you took it when they told you that your grandfather passed when however long later, cuz I probably would we wouldn't be sitting
Hmm.
here. You know what I mean? So um yeah, I went through a 4-month relapse after my mom passed. The yard I was at closed. I was around a bunch of lifers, so I have a support system. Guys never come home. I still talk to today on a daily basis. I talk to big, most humblest, down to earth guys that have given me tools and jewels, like you name it. You don't even know these guys are doing life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a blessing. I got to meet them, be around them, family to me, and it. Not all white boys neither. Let me put it out there. Not all white boys neither. Like I'm not. Listen, I live that. I'm not on all that, but like my circle or the people I consider family is, you know what I mean? It's all around. Um, that yard closed and we moved in. We opened La Palma. Have you heard about La
Yeah.
Palma? I was
Yeah.
on the bus of the first 60. Bus of the first 60 opened that yard. I'll tell you about that, man.
It's crazy how happy people get when they open up yards. You know why? Because you get new uniforms, you get better food.
Man, I wish that was the
The case? No. At least that's how it is on the feds. Whenever they would open up a private new yard, that was privately owned, like the one they have here in Eloy. They have an Eloy yard here that houses all LA people, Hawaiian people, and the food. I did 2 months there. The 2 months I was there, I never had to buy commissary because they gave us like a lot of rice, spam on every meal because there was
Mm.
all Hawaiian people there, and the food was just off the hook. But it was a private prison.
So That's where I went. That's where La Palma is. The Hawaiians and Cali boys, like they got moved over,
Yep.
and that's the yard we took over. Man, you guys had it. Like I seen your store list. Is it you guys could order like video games and
Video
stuff?
games,
Like
Xbox, everything.
that don't make no sense. Yeah, I mean, we got video games eventually. I don't really play video games, but I would play a little bit of NBA. You know what I mean? I like to play. But like I seen the store list, and we got the back half of what you guys had left over in the kitchen,
Yep.
but it was right back to a DOC. You know what I mean? I mean, it was even. I think it potentially it was a little bit worse because it was all frozen. You know, frozen pancakes and stuff. But now that I'm back a little bit level, like you asked, like something I could say to my younger self. I've been processing and thinking about it. The craziest thing for me, I keep coming back to a GED book. My grandma would give me these books for birthdays and Christmas. Business for Dummies, GED.
Hmm.
Those are the two books I remember. But my young and dumb self used it as a weed tree. I got pictures. I don't know where they're at, but there was pictures. Thanks, grandma. You know what I mean? That's how I was. That's how I love the weed. That's how I was. I've been a stoner at heart since day one. You know what I mean? From my mom. That was mom. But and I'm not boasting or bragging about that. But the thing is, man, if I would actually read those books, because who would have knew like those books are actually intertwined in what I'm doing today.
Yeah, but I have a saying that when it's your time, it's your time. And I believe that like 100% now because you know I've had a lot of like I guess you could say opportunities to go this route with my career, go that route with my career, and everything's been slow until now. Now everything's moving, but it's because I feel that I'm ready now. If I would have got a bunch of money 2 years, 3 years ago, I can't really say that I would be as strong as I am right now. I might have relapsed. I have to be honest with myself. You know, today, yeah, I know that I'm stronger, but it's because I know that I'm doing the work that I need to do, taking care of myself, going to my meeting, just everything that I need to do to stay a beast. And I tell people that this is the same thing that I did in prison because in prison, if I didn't do this, I would go crazy, lose and I would get into a fight. Something would happen. Um, so I still live like I'm in prison, but I live out here like that. I stick to my schedule, I stick to my program, my working out. Like everything is program, just like on the yard. I go to sleep at the same time. Lights out at 9. That's what time I'm in bed. You know what I mean? So like it's helped me so much to be ready for that next opportunity. Now I'm ready to like read different kind of books. I speak different. So like it's all like an evolution. I have to believe in a walk that we're gonna be on for a long time, bro. And just like we ran those streets for years and got better at being a criminal, we have to get better at being normal citizens. You know what I mean? And productive ones, especially with this huge responsibility of people looking to us for hope, for guidance, tools. I mean, I tell people I sell hope. I sell hope by the kilo now. It's for free.
It's for free. For free, right?
Yeah.
Man,
But he's doing big things, man. You're working at the Salvation, no, St. Paul, right?
St. Vincent.
St. Vincent's.
Yeah, I've been in the behavioral health field for over a year now. That was my first job. Shout out to Kai Rich giving me the opportunity. You hit me, man. You hit me all over the place right now. Let me get right. Kai Rich gave me the opportunity when I first got out. I was 2 months into New Freedom, alumni of New Freedom, amazing program. Man, I
Been there. Been there.
graduated 2 weeks early, head down, did my thing. Um, Man, I had an argument with my case manager there because I had a job 2 months in. Because, like, with the case manager, you're supposed to meet once a week. You got goals, da da da. I didn't meet once a week. It was every couple days. Like here, I did this. Here, I did this. Here, I did this.
Yeah.
2 months in, I'm like, hey, I got a job. Oh, you can't take that job. Why? I could leave right now. Like, why can't I take that job? Well, you haven't been here 70 something days. Yeah, so it was like, I was like, you know what, man? Check this out. I didn't tell you that. This conversation never happened. I'm out the way. And I just kind of walked out, left it at that. I'm taking that job.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a full circle moment because I worked in community bridges for 11 months. That was my opening. That was a conversation that happened on the yard. That was manifestation.
Yeah.
Right. Something that I worked on and worked towards. And so happened like that happened, that job, So I got into shelters. I'm gonna give a little game too. Like I got into shelters, right? And I picked what shelter I wanted to be at. And then for anybody starting, like I got my job first, and then I found housing. I think a lot of people will comprehend that.
They do it. I mean, let's break it down. When I went to the halfway house, you can't look for a job for 30 days. So you got to twiddle your thumbs for 30 days. That already causes bad ideas in your head. Then they get to pick whether you get the job or not.
Right.
And it just goes, it causes like a snowball effect pretty much.
Right.
Man, I was lucky enough to be in personal training as soon as I got home, man. I prepared 6 months before getting released to get my personal training certification, everything. It's why I spend so much time in the prisons helping the people that are coming home, like get ready, because there is no, oh, I'll wait till, everybody says, oh, I'll wait till I get to the door, 30 days.
Mm.
I'm like, you should be getting ready from the first day you walk into that prison. Like, if someone would have told me, not a gang member, would have told me, start preparing as soon as you walk in that door, I would have probably left with a bachelor's degree, like, and a lot of things. But no, I spent a lot of time gang banging. I spent a lot of time getting high. Spent a lot of time playing cat and mouse because that's what you do in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasted a lot of time. It wasn't until the last 4 years that I really started to grow up. Out of 17 years, that I started being around lifers, people that were never going to come home, that started giving me advice and started showing me how they were living in there. And like you said, you couldn't even tell that they were in prison because they had more peace, more accountability, more structure than me, that I was getting ready to come home. So, I started applying a lot of those things when I came home, and it really changed my life. But I have to believe that there's some guys like us that need just a little bit more help. Need a little bit more of that push. And it takes like guys like us in those jobs. Like I was telling you, you have a calling for the homeless. You have a heart for it. Probably because you ran the streets for so long. Were you ever homeless?
I wouldn't say I was homeless, but I mean, I stayed out there, ran
You
around.
pretended to be homeless.
Yeah, yeah, but I never became homeless. I stayed out there because the addiction, and I liked being out there, and I was
Yeah.
around it. You know what I mean? But I always had somewhere to go. You know what I mean? I never let my. I guess I'm not gonna say I never let myself. God never let me get to that point.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
God never let me get to that point. But and I had somewhere to go. Like I have a loving family. Don't get me wrong. Like I have a beautiful, loving family. Dysfunctional, yes. Perfect, no. But I have a beautiful family, very loving, very encouraging. And I went down a road I went down. So, but I never made it to homelessness. I always had a place to go. Never had a car, nothing like that or anything. But I know a lot of people out here, So I was never fully out in the streets like that. But at the same time, like that's still my people. That's still my people. I work with clients all day, not to get deep in it, but I look at them and I see myself. I have a
That's
heart
deep.
for it.
That's deep, bro. That's deep because that means that God put you in that position for a reason. You know what I mean? Like if you have emotions like that, it's like when I go to the prisons. Right before I get there, I cry. I cry right before I go in there because I know the sound of those doors. I know the sound of
Mm,
those keys. Every single sound when I go in there affects me in some way or some sort. And I'm there to help. So it causes a lot of emotion, man. You know what I mean? But I know that's my gift. That I know that's where I belong. And I strongly believe that that's God has you where you belong too, because not a lot of people. And I have to. I've done it too. I've done it too. I'm gonna be straight up. Like there's times where I pull up to a light and I see a homeless person asking for money, and I'll turn around. I won't want to look at them, and that's like the worst thing you could do. Like they're just like you. Like they've made bad decisions just like you. They've had a hard life just like you. You know, they've been through stuff. And I had to really ask myself one day why I was doing that. And I remember reading an article in one of those magazines that I was featured in, and it said, you know, it's none of your business whether what they're asking that money for. It's in your heart whether you want to give it or not. And it hit me hard, man. And I was
yeah,
like, man, because you hate when they call your card out, man. Because like, nobody really likes truth. It hits hard. So I had to make some adjustments in my life, and I started going to that shelter right there on Washington
mm,
just to visit, and get used to being around that, because it's a whole different atmosphere. I like that shelter because they let them go in with their pets. Actually,
yeah,
I believe that that's like something big because a dog, a cat could change your life,
yeah.
especially for someone that's dealt with traumas and stuff like that. So what do you got planned, man? What's the next step? What's
Next,
what's the next?
man, I'm on a mission. I think the next step has already happened. So what's going on for me is I've been working on a project for about 7 to 8 months now. Um, I'm a CEO, co-founder of Rise Again Foundation. Currently, we found a niche in helping the homeless, focus on reentry, recovery, but not what everybody else is doing. I'm working on a different angle. You know, staying quiet, staying focused, and figuring out what my avenue is for me to make that impact. So right now, I'm currently building a stable structure into donations. Man, my car's full of donations right now. My apartment, my buddy's garage, my other co-founder's car. Like we found a niche to these clothing closets for reentry recovery centers that need stuff. I've been able to I've been able to pull up on Axiom Care. That was cool. Great experience. I got to go to Sanctuary Recovery, hook them up. That was cool. And without putting out too much, I got nine more facilities that have hit me up, and it all started off hoodies for the homeless. That was my idea. Hey, let's do hoodies for the homeless. Let's show the community what we're about, how we're gonna do things. That we're about our word, and we're standing on all 10, right?
Yeah.
And it, dude.
Notice is the thing is when God has a plan for you and you actually follow through what He wants you to do, you don't even have to try it. Everything just falls into place.
Yeah.
Same thing with the studio. Same thing with the Wrong and Strong Ministry. Same thing with us meeting, man. I had a busy day that day. For some reason in my heart, I had to be there for you for that moment. I don't know why. I don't ask God questions. I just follow suit. And I'm glad I went because I have a new friend now, a new warrior on the team.
Mm.
And if you guys are looking for any kind of hope, you can find them. You're on TikTok, right? TikTok, social
I'm on
media.
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok Rise Again Foundation. Social media is Robert Picard. Um, Instagram's Ruthless Indio.
You got a website?
Rise, we can rise again.org. It's being reamped right now. because we got a lot of things in the works, a lot of big things. So please stay tuned and stay paid attention to that because coming towards the end of the year, we got something cool in the works.
Yeah, guys, and this is I'm bringing back the podcast because I'm gonna have guests now from different walks of life. Just I hope I could give you the motivation, the hope, just the dreams that I hope you live with every day because that's what got me through some of my darkest moments was dreaming and smiling when there was nothing to smile about. You know, I trained myself to always look at the cup not half full, but with something in it. So, hey guys, my name's JC.
My name is Bobby.
Hey, we'll catch you guys on the rebound.